pretty well and almost may close break even for the day. We'll see, but those are the names. I'm still watching weed names to get really hot in the coming weeks to months. So that definitely keeping an eye on marijuana names, and yeah, so EV marijuana names and MU as kind of a laggard play to some of these semiconductor moves that have already happened.
Any thoughts on the Rivian IPO and some of the EVs that are running with it?
Not really. I mean, my with the way I look at the markets, I need price action, I need price history, and I could go into a 5 minute chart, look at price history on Rivian, but it's just not something that's not really my style as far as kind of what I would look at. I think it's a hot IPO because EVs are moving and you got the infrastructure bill, but it's not something I've even really watched or have any price history to even comment on.
Yeah, definitely fair. I know that you're definitely following the price history and charts, and that's a little bit difficult to do right off the bat with these IPOs. But awesome. All right, appreciate you being here, Jake.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Let's keep it rolling, get everyone involved off the bat, and then we can dive into more specific analysis. Exclusive. Would love to hear what you've been up to.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the same narrative as just about everybody else. Especially on Sunday, we talked about our plays of the week, and Lucid Motors was going to be my biggest position for the week. So that was just continuation from last week, and of course, the infrastructure bill and all that good stuff that's been happening has really just helped this sector rally. So, QuantumScape was another name. I've been in that one since that trend line break into the disjoint channel, and right now it's testing the golden pocket. So that's another one I'm probably going to roll up. I've currently got monthly swings on November and December, but I might actually have to get some leaps now that we're starting to get traction here. Because I mean, this was over $100, just just in December. So we're definitely going to be looking for some continuation on that. Um, I mean, I've got a lot of open positions right now in various sectors, but right now I'm kind of focusing on more of the EVs, energy, and kind of looking at where the money's rotating into.
Got it. So I saw you kind of came in on AFRM today as well as one of the other ones that was a trending ticker was SoFi. Any thoughts on those right now?
Yeah, so I got some Affirm. That's another name that we've been kind of rolling up with profits for the past few weeks. And we got some earning lottos. I was targeting the 150 to 160 range, and of course, the results were good, and that was kind of to be expected with Amazon and everything they got going on. So those lottos for the earnings paid really well, even though it was a smaller size because it is earnings, so you got to play with just profits. And then we just rolled them up today with more profits to make more profits. So that's just that's the name of the game for me personally.
Got it. And then thoughts on SoFi, which has
And
been
yes.
running.
Yeah, SoFi has just been it's just been on a rampage, and I believe they were talking about it on CNBC too, so it got even more attention than it already had. So it's just I think at this point now it's just going to be a ramp up of FOMO. So just kind of be careful if you're getting in a little bit late.
Is this at a point where you would take profits on SoFi?
I started taking profits at 10%, so I'll keep on taking profits as long as the position goes up and scale out and buy more and roll up. Scale out, buy more and roll up. Let the profits make more and keep your original capital protected.
Got it. Makes sense to me. Awesome. Appreciate you being here, X.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, and happy Veterans Day to all the veterans. Appreciate what you did.
100%. To any veterans in the crowd, we deeply appreciate your service. Juicy, speaking of X's, we've also been chatting a little bit. I know that you were talking PayPal. I saw you in on Visa, the put this morning, and a couple of others. What's been going on by you?
About what's going on, Wolf, and again, thanks Benzinga and Trendspider. Jake, I know Jake's here. I just want to start by saying, Benzinga's ultimate for news, man. It's my primary source, and Trendspider's great. You guys know I hit these trades pretty hard, pretty quick, and I find a lot of them, majority of them actually on Trendspider. So today, just right now, about 10 minutes ago, I just got long snow on this 370 break. I got the 370 calls for this week. Hold on, I'm gonna tell you my entry. Give me a second. So I'm in at 4 even. So I just got up to the 12% mark. So I just put my stop here at break even. So I'm gonna be multitasking here. But yeah, today was a little bit choppy. And again, last time we spoke, we were talking about seasonality. everybody's been making money in this crazy up move, and seasonality was like 70, 80, 70, 80 each week. To this week, we dropped back down to 50. So that's when we want to play defense, as per what we saw this morning. You was in my room. You saw the live call outs. I took a small loss on PayPal. I took a nice fat gain on Visa Short. And I had some small gains on Airbnb and a couple other names, but that's pretty much what it is right now. It's not an epic market we're looking at right now. It's not that, hold for 10,000% kind of market. It's that kind of market where you get in, you want to take your gains and get out. Now, as per EVs, I really like Lucid. I'm holding Lucid at 27. I've been talking about Lucid for the longer term as one of the primary EV makers that will be here in America. That's why I did not sell even on the dip. And my advice to anybody that's looking to buy a dip, you have to check your time horizon, right? So if you're going to buy a dip, you're buying shares, be prepared to be red if you have great fundamentals in that company. Now, EV sector-wise, I like Rivian, but if you compare it to Tesla, I don't think that Tesla should be considered an EV company. Big shout outs to Stock Talk Weekly. He's big into this, but Tesla, as you guys know, so many different what they call verticals. They make money off selling EVs, selling cars, selling batteries, selling AI, semi trucks. There's so many things that they do. I don't feel like you can classify them as an EV, right? So that's why no matter what happens to that sector, I guess Tesla's still going up because it has so many different things. Now, Rivian, me personally, I'll be honest, I'm be the guy to say it. I'm not a bear, but I do think they're overvalued, especially when they have one targeted market with one targeted vehicle with one targeted product, right? So right now, them coming out at opening something with a ridiculous $120+ billion valuation. For me, I'm not really going to be touching this IPO for now, right? I'm going to wait for options, and I also want more candlesticks to come on the chart, right? So right now, if you're buying Rivian, you're just buying the hype, right? You have no technical standpoint to buy it. I want to wait for a technical standpoint to buy it. But overall, my advice to anybody here trading this market, I would limit my exposure to the upside unless you have some name with a lot of volume, right? That's going to be your difference. The volume. Is the volume in your name that you're trading? If it's not there, I would literally just stay out of it. Me personally, I like to tell traders being cash is not a bad thing. And in fact, being cash after a big run, you're protecting your year-to-date gains. And year-to-date, me and my team, we hit a fundamental monument. I beat my last year's returns. If you follow me, you know how much I made last year. I beat that about 4 days ago. So that's it for me.
Love it, man. Moving into, I guess we've touched on seasonality a couple of times. Are there any areas of the market that look attractive from a seasonality standpoint right now?
You directing that to me? So usually around this time, they like to go in these small caps, and IWM had the biggest breakout ever, and that just turned back around. So for me, I'm literally staying out of everything, right? And I think a lot of it has to do with a lot of people overlook seasonality might be okay sometimes, but you still got to combine seasonalities with technical. So if you look at SPY, we broke out and ran to the 1618, just straight up, right? So you have to consolidate before you go higher. And I just think right now, doesn't matter anything right now. I think you should stay out of the market unless the volume's there because we're going to consolidate before we go higher or lower. And you don't want to get caught in the middle.
Makes sense to me. Yeah, continuing to keep our eye on that. Wow, looking at some stocks ripping right now today. EGLX, for anyone interested, that is just taking off at the bottom here. Okay.
Real quick, if I can comment on what Juicy said, it's so important because, you mentioned it, and stock, cash is a position, right? That's something that I've heard so often when I was trying to, get in the markets and things like that. And it's perfect that you said, because so many times I feel FOMO when everyone's posting screenshots and you see EVs up 10%, 20%. You want to go ahead and get in because you want to be part of that next leg. Well, sometimes you are part of the next leg, except it's to the downside. So I'm glad you brought up that it's okay to be cash because cash is definitely a position that you can, be comfortable in.
100%. More and more people that I've seen have been moving at least towards 20% in cash. And also, I just want to speak out on that point. There's other things that you can do with cash other than investing in the stock market. We're not going to go super deep into this, but I do crypto stake a good amount of mine. I earn about 9% APY, and I'm pretty comfortable with it. I do believe that it minimizes a lot of my downside in certain cases. So this is not a space around that, but there's other things you could do with your money besides the stock market, especially in times like this. So poke around, whether that's real estate or other things like that. Never hurts to shift and find new allocations. Okay, let's get you involved, Evan. What's going on with you today? I know that you're not, day trading along with the rest of us, but any perspective perhaps on Rivian or Tesla or any of these other ones long term right now?
Yeah, quickly, the biggest comparison, we'll step back. I don't really touch IPOs in general. My strategy with IPOs is if I really, really like the company, I'm going to wait to see if I can get it 30, 40, 50% lower before I start my dollar cost averaging in. That's just IPOs in general, not this one specific, just kind of where my head's at with it. So I would have never really bought today anyway. But it does feel a little bit overvalued. There's been a trend of pre-revenue companies kind of recently being really hot, and it's just not a trend that I really like to get behind. So, maybe I'll be a little late if it does, but I'd rather wait and see in this area. I've been invested with Tesla for a while, so I feel comfortable about my exposure to this area. For some of the other names, I just want to see delivery numbers, more real world data. I've heard Elon talk a lot about how making prototypes is easy, but production is hard. So I'd love to see some of these companies scale up. But Rivian, when you look at it, the really big thing that's different about Rivian than other EVs is the deal with Amazon and the partnership there and the ownership. So I do think that cannot be understated. But again, something I'm not super interested in. Like you said, I'm not in here really, day trading or even swing trading too much. But I did dollar cost average into a position or two today. I bought a little bit of Disney yesterday after the markets closed, and then today, this morning, around 166 and 161, or 162 actually. I did own some dollar cost averaging. I'm actually averaging up. My cost basis was right around 100 to 110. So I feel comfortable at around this range for the long term. I'm looking forward to the event tomorrow at this point, the Disney Plus event. I think that we might see some good things around that, although it probably won't move the stock too much right now. Another position I bought into a little bit yesterday, DC'd into a little bit more, was PayPal. It's similar. It's been beaten down a little bit recently. And this position, I was actually able to lower my cost basis, so it felt like a decent opportunity in a name. I've done my research in the past that has pulled back a little bit more from where I bought in. But overall, I'm not sprinting to put money into the market right now. I'm still more or less fully invested. I have cash on the sideline, as I always do, but not excessive amounts more than normal. For me, I'm definitely in the lower end of the amount I'm buying. I buy each week, but I am still buying. So I think we do have the potential to move higher, a nice Santa Claus rally into the close of the year. But I'm not like as I feel like I own Nvidia, I own Tesla, so I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the moves for the year, or a good part of it, have been baked in already at this point.
Interesting. Okay. So, what I've been hearing from some people is that there is going to be often, if you're looking at just historical data, that there is a bit of a slowdown here towards the Christmas area. And then that last week of the year, we end up seeing a bit of a bump. And I've seen that happen several times back in 2018 when I was at Goldman. I remember we had this bull market, it was a raging bull market. And then at the end of 2018 going into 2019, there was a dip right before Christmas. It was down, 1,000 points or something like that on the Dow. It was like a crazy day, and then it all just rebounded right after Christmas, and it just flew into the coming year. And if you go back to last year, obviously it started a little bit earlier. It really started right around the early November area, and then it kind of ran up around that election time. So it was interesting to see there. Okay, awesome. Appreciate that, Evan. And Shark, let's get you involved. I know you had briefly mentioned the trade that you were in, but you want to elaborate on some more positions and stuff that you've been looking at, plus any thoughts on things like Sofi, Affirm, Tesla, Rivian. By the way, with Sofi, since we're talking about it, I just went ahead and I just took some profit. I sold 75% of my position just because I was up 50% on it. And with a lot of these things, I do believe that you can get back in at some point. Although it wasn't my Roth, and I don't like making tons of moves in there, but always time to reinvest. So Shark.
My man, hey, can't go broke taking profits. That a boy. So I'm proud of you there. No, so sorry, I'm managing some things. A lot of people already kind of hit on a lot of things that I was going to discuss. So one thing I wanted to hit on first is thank you, Benzinga, and thank you, TrendSpider. You guys are awesome. You guys are something that I use every single day. I would recommend everyone that's listening definitely go check them out. amazing tools. I mean, right now I'm actually even using basically my watch list. I went and like shared these, right, and it's all on Benzinga. What's really cool on Benzinga is you can put like unlimited watch lists. So I have like these 97 theme like watch lists of every single like different subsector, all that kind of stuff that I like to monitor in the morning. It's kind of how I go about my top down approach to see where money's flowing in and out of the market. Obviously EV has been something really hot with the IPO coming out. For me, just like a lot of people talk about, I don't play IPOs. It's not something I like. I like to have a little bit more data on the chart, and then on top of it, I want to see what happens with the IPO, right? I remember when Snap's IPO came out and it shot up and then shot down. It was just a lot of action, right? So I like to let things settle out before I go ahead and get into something like that. But today we played Lucid. I basically in our chat, in our Just Two Traders like Discord, I shared them with you too, right? I shared with you the watch list that I was watching and breaks that we're looking for, and Lucid basically pulled back this morning and then gave us a beautiful opportunity on the 43 break this morning, and up $2 a share, and the call option is doing amazing right now. The other thing that I do want to say, and this is me just being myself, I'm not a bull, I'm not a bear, right? I like to say that I'm a shark because I play the ups and downs of the market, right? I play the waves of the ocean, let's say. And another thing that I was seeing was, with the market being a little bit overextended the last, this was going back to Monday. I was playing things a little bit tight this week. We're a little overextended. We've had almost an amazing run since we broke that 447 level on the SPY. It's been just kind of upwards for a lot of stocks, right, in a lot of sectors. But I was also looking for a little bit of weakness. We played actually RCL on Monday, Royal Caribbean on a put. I was waiting for it. Had a big gap up on Friday, and all I was waiting for was some kind of weakness or a close below that, the highest high right there. Now, it didn't happen on Monday, but we did initiate our put on Tuesday, and that thing has been playing very nicely. I actually am now just monitoring, because now on the daily, it's breaking down the middle Bollinger Band. It's something that I think will continue to probably press to the lower Bollinger Band before I look to take profits. But I am actually, with a lot of people, like Juicy even said, I'm a little bit more looking for daily opportunities, right, rather than swinging anything at this point. Definitely not doing any long-term swinging. I don't do long-term swings during earnings season as things get choppy. I like to play price action off of earnings. So like perfect example, Affirm, all those kind of things. Actually, I gotta give a little shout out, even though Gergavin's getting beat up on the Lucid. He did do a little kind of call out on Affirm with a pullback. I mean, kind of reiterating that their earnings was probably going to be a solid one, and obviously it was. So that's just kind of how I'm playing things. I'm looking at things for right now. Actually, I've been more looking for weakness, right? I've been looking for stocks that are overextended, that I believe should not be, right? Things that are maybe trading out of the upper Bollinger Bands that I think have been overbought. And RCL was a perfect one that we went and played on the downside, and it just was overextended, right? And when things get overextended and things are a little bit toppy, I'm not looking at this point to be a buyer, right? Because in my mind, when things are overextended, they're not at fair value. I've done this long enough where things, when they go that way, there's usually an opportunity for it to pull back, right, to their fair value, the Bollinger Band or maybe 13, 21-day EMA cloud. So that's kind of how I've been looking at things on this end. But I've been a really successful week, playing both the ups and the downs. Actually, this week's been probably one of my most successful weeks in a while. But and actually, big shout out to Benzinga and TrendSpider. Most of those things are being found right there and there. So appreciate y'all, and sorry if I ran a little too long.
Oh no, absolutely. And on some of those plays where you're saying you're having a good week, are you shorting?
No, so I'm playing both sides. Like Lucid today, so like literally today I'm in a call and a put, right? So Lucid was a call that I broke on the 43 break, and then I've been actually playing RCL on the put side ever since Tuesday. And as long as it continued to show weakness, I wasn't. I was actually on Tuesday, I was looking for it to be taking profits at the middle Bollinger Band. We're at that level now. I did scale out a bit, but now that we're breaking the middle Bollinger Band on the daily, it's just looking like it's going to continue to show me weakness. So there isn't, when things are not giving me opportunity. Okay, so I'm now looking for opportunities of divergence, right? So like RCL, it's showing me weak. The MACD is showing weak. Stochastics showing weak. My waves are showing weak. my volume showing weak, right? So there's no point for me, in my sense, to go ahead and cover it if it's continuing to show me weakness. I will keep letting my winners win. And then same thing with Lucid. Lucid is right now, like I said, when it broke 43, I'm playing it right now on the 15-minute. And if it breaks the 13-day EMA, I'll go ahead and take profit. I'll have a nice profit on my option. But I'm kind of letting my winners win if that helps. But I'm playing it on both sides. Right now, how I'm playing things, I'm looking for them to break certain pivot levels. And once they do, and they show signs of strength like Lucid did, or signs of weakness like RCL has, I'm then attacking.
Love it. Love it. Okay, awesome. We made it. So each of our speakers has given kind of an initial bit. This is perfect, 30 minutes off the bat. I'm going to go back to Benzinga in just a second. To everyone in the audience, if you are interested in investing in general, if you want people that are going to give you some great, ideas, some analysis on stocks, lots of stuff along those lines, I recommend just going in and checking out all of these speakers up here's bios. This is a carefully curated panel. There's definitely people that have been requesting throughout this, but these were planned speakers, and I highly vouch that they're going to add a lot. You have Stock Market News is kind of a great news service, but also writing his newsletter and other stuff. Jake working at TrendSpider, one of the top technical, and I guess they have a lot of the fundamentals as well. Charting firms, Shark, Exclusive, Juicy, active every single day. With Discords, with a ton of information on here. So there's a lot to be finding here. Now, Benzinga, going back to you real quick, since we are doing this space together, I'd love to give you maybe a minute and a half to explain just, what your service is, the value add. Since we have over 400 people in here, maybe not all of them are familiar with that. And then we can go back to you, Jake, on a couple of other names.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So here at Benzinga, we have multiple different services, whether it's newsletters, fundamental shows where we bring on CEOs and CFOs from publicly traded companies to give you some insight on what the company is doing. But let's go to Benzinga Pro itself. Within the platform, we want to give you all the tools in terms of retail traders to make the best decision possible, right? So we're mainly known for our news services. We have a wonderful news squawk. Charlie, I like to call him Uncle Charlie, if you will. He'll always call out the important things. So whether it's job numbers, whether it's a tweet that, Lucid may have had where they actually went ahead and tweeted maybe about an hour ago and said, hey, we've added more customers here this weekend. And maybe 60 seconds, if even that, after that, Lucid went ahead and jumped I think it was like 60 cents or so. So we strongly believe that we want to deliver the fastest news to our retail traders so that they can make a decision. We won't tell you to go long. We won't tell you to go short. We'll just give you the information, and then you go ahead and see how to digest it and execute trades with it. Within the platform, we also have scanners and watch lists and movers, so that after you're done with your trading day, if you want to come out and see, hey, what stocks did go ahead and move, what they gapped up, or what is gapping up, or what happened in the market, you can then go ahead and check out those stocks and then add them to your watch list, and then keep an eye on the fundamentals or what's going on with it. You can also go ahead and check out if insiders are buying or selling. You can also go ahead and check out if institutions are loading up on those specific stocks. So we kind of want to give you all the tools that individuals need in your tool belt to figure out your game plan in terms of short-term, long-term, day trading, scalping, whatever it is. That's what we provide to you. And I'll go ahead and end it on this note in terms of we welcome you to try it out for 2 weeks. It's absolutely free. And this is going to sound cheesy, but it's a 2-week trial where you don't even need a credit card. So if you get locked up for some reason, you won't get a random bill from us. Your trial will just expire, and that's it. So you don't need to worry about getting blindsided with a bill.
Awesome. Yeah, great service. Make sure you're checking it out. It's a verified account up here that is with us. Appreciate you doing this together with us. Okay, I'm going to go back to you, Jake, and I wanted to throw a couple of names your way going into the latter half of this week. So I've been watching semiconductors. Would love to hear your thoughts on MRVL. And then to the audience, since we're going to have a little bit of time, let me go ahead and put out a tweet real quick and just ask, what do you want people's thoughts on? And, we'll just go right into those. But yeah, I wanted to hear from you, Jake, on MRVL, which I thought was pretty interesting. And then in addition to that, one of the other names that was on the list that was sent to me from Benzinga was it RNTX? No, it wasn't that. What was it? I'm sorry, I'm switching back and forth between so much.
No, you're totally fine, man. I believe you're looking at RNXT is what you're looking at.
Yeah, RNXT as well as Marvell, Jake.
Yeah. So MRVL. Honestly, I've never even looked at this chart, but I mean, it's near all time highs. One thing that I would kind of point out is what I generally do is I'll turn on like the raindrop version of a candle and the candle version. So raindrop is just the volume weighted candle on TrendSpider, and it is interesting to see that there is a red candle raindrop forming here on the weekly chart, and it is trading near all time highs. So that's something to consider. I mean, I I probably wouldn't enter this. I'm just more of a laggard trader. So like MU, that's what I think is going to catch up to some of these leaders. So I prefer to actually look at the stocks that aren't leading. Obviously, I look at the leaders, but then I actually look for the laggards and see, okay, this one hasn't moved yet, because then I can see, okay, well the laggard hasn't moved yet, the leader has. Rather than looking at a leader, if it's leading, I don't know what's going to happen next. With a laggard, I know it's likely going to follow the leader. So MRVL, I would just quickly mention that with it being an up week on this one, you do have a red weekly raindrop forming into Friday. Obviously, that can change going into tomorrow. The week's not over. But I would also mention, if you're looking at the daily raindrop, a lot of that volume is at the top of the range. It looks like it's up about 3.2% today. So, yeah, I mean, you generally let runners run, and there's no type of signal, at least from a trend signal, that would suggest that the trend is reversing at all. But the one thing I would just look at is the fact that there is a red weekly raindrop forming with a green weekly close, which I sometimes will look at as divergence. But what was the other one?
So the other one was, and sorry, I have to go back. I think they just told it to me. It was
You're fine. I got you. It's RNXT. And before you go, Jake, I do want to talk about the MRVL. The reason interesting you mentioned that because I do have some calls because they were about $800,000 worth that were purchased for the December 17th 75
me
strikes.
too.
Right. So there you go. So I'm down about 7% of the position. So as soon as you said that, I was like, I'm pretty sure I have contracts on that. So if folks,
you just have a lot of shenanigans going on in some of these names, especially with just the ability for these names to move without real raw supply and demand having a play or factor in it. But yeah, I mean, huge gap up yesterday, kind of a pullback today. Just basically looking at the swing low anchored VWAP from November 5th. The volume weighted average price is way up here around $9 and is trading around 781. So yeah, I mean, there's I don't know anything about this name. I don't know even if yesterday was earnings or what it was. But yeah, I mean, it looks like it recently IPO'd, and the IPO high is around, or the week after the IPO is around 1664 or so. So yeah, I just don't really know what's kind of going on there. One thing I will mention though, if you do want a quick case study on looking at an up day versus a red raindrop. Yesterday, it was a big gap up, but you did have a red raindrop. So that means that the volume weighted average price during the second half of the day was lower than the first half. So even though it gapped up green, the actual volume weighted average price during the second half of the day was lower than the first half. And you do have a move down today. So, that's a decent case study just looking at that type of divergence in this particular one on the daily chart from yesterday. But yeah, I don't have a ton to say here just because there's not a lot of price history either to go off of. But congrats to who was able to take advantage of the gap up yesterday.
Absolutely. Keep an eye on that. All right, Gerg, I'm looking at Root right now. Massive call volume sweeping into this. I see your post up top with the short interest. What's going on with Root?
Yeah, both in big. I got a couple call options, couple hundred now. I'm in it $6 and now 5 puts for next week. So this one is the most shortest stock right now. And if you look at the float, most of it is owned by VCs. So the actual numbers are even more higher. And the people who are the major investors, the VCs, they aren't selling under $15 because that's the cost basis. Because this went public around the silver price, around $20. So $10 is the break even. That's the valuation they invested in. So if you do the math, the actual interest goes up to 80%. And they did have good earnings, but end of it, it's a garbage company. I wouldn't invest in them. It's just a trade for me. Just
So
low flow too.
you're long the common shorting with puts?
No, I'm long the commons and long the puts. The puts are just an hedge.
Okay, got it. Using the puts to hedge. Interesting
Yep.
position. Stock Talk Weekly. Any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean it's been a high short interest stock for a while now. I think I didn't really look at their ER, but I think they had decent earnings, so I'm sure that's catalyzing it a bit as well. But I didn't trade this one. I mean, I kind of looked to momentum traded earlier in the day. I kind of felt like it was stuck in that plus 22 to plus 25% range. I didn't know how much RR was really left in it, but then a couple big traders got on it and put it out, and now it's kind of going. But yeah, I mean, it is a short squeeze play. That narrative is not false for sure.
Cool. Want to pull back to another name real quick. So yeah, I see. I mean, I'm just watching that one, and there's just sweeping call flow coming in throughout the morning. Nothing massive, which I will point out. I don't see anything in the 6-digit range,
Yeah, it's
unless they're
retail
going.
driven for sure.
What?
I said it's retail driven for sure.
Yeah, because I'm seeing
Yeah,
like
and there was a huge, massive volume spike at 9:45. Huge, massive volume spike on the common. It was 2 million on a 15-minute candle.
I wonder what happened there.
What ticker?
ROOT.
ROO2T. Sorry, but yes, I was watching this. It's something that I was watching this morning. If you look at the 15-minute candle, the volume is decreasing, and then a massive fucking volume hit at 9:45 for 2.73 million in a 15-minute candle. That's almost equivalent to what it was happening in the first 30 minutes of trading. And when that happens midday like this, that is a unusual volume alert that I actually had on TrendSpider.
That was probably just Gurgavin.
Well,
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding though.
But hey, but at the same time, I'm just kind of seeing. But then you had volume action afterwards. When it broke the 6.
Gavin just levering up over there.
I mean, when you buy the 5 puts, you're down to this 8% with that. And my upside can be 100%, so pretty good R&R for me. And I will hold this in next. That's when my puts expire. So till then, my downside is limited, so no point in selling right now. So far, I'm up like 3 or 4%, but I think this can go 100% if we see a big influx in volume.
Yeah, it definitely. I mean, it's consolidating a little bit here for the last 40 minutes. So if it did see that volume, I could see it breaking out. I'm just continuing to watch the call flow. I want to bring it back to another popular one, which I just got an alert from Black Box Stocks on, as well as I'm looking at, I got an alert on another platform as well, and that's AFRM. So exclusive. I was in your Discord this morning. We were chatting a little bit about AFRM. So it's kind of flattened out a little bit here from that first. I think we were looking at it around the 154 range, and now it's gone down to 148. But there must be, I guess, call volume, I suppose, that is coming in order for these to happen. So looks like decent, but I don't know. I just got multiple alerts. Thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't panic too much on it, especially, you know, in my specific situation, obviously the calls for earnings were strictly profit, and the roll-up calls for today were strictly profit. So, if it goes down, no big deal. It looks a little bit more cooled off, but it's still not broken the low of day, so I wouldn't be too worried until it breaks below 146.90. But there's there's a lot of accumulation going on here at the lows, so I wouldn't be surprised if it goes back up, but I'm prepared in either direction.
Got you. All right, Juicy, throwing it over to you. So if anybody's in the audience listening and there's a stock you want us to talk about, I'm looking through right now. I did put out a tweet and asked what stocks people want us to discuss. Looks like we already have about 16 replies on that, so I'm going through some of them. So Juicy, I'll throw it over to you. I think there's a couple that are interesting in here. So one of them is this METX, which I know, Gerg, I've heard, I know your thoughts on it. I've definitely read through them. It's definitely seen a lot of pumping. Any thoughts on METX? And then the other one that I'll throw over to you will be actually Penn National Gaming as well.
All right, now this ticker is METX, right? Swing high from October 29th. Another high at November 8th, and you can connect the trend line from the bottom of October 27th to the bottom of November 10th. All right, so you got this wedge formation. So this is one of those situations where you really want to let the market come to you. If you can break that 74 cents tab, that area, there is a higher day from September 1st. Nice big green candle right there. You break that 74 tab, you can pretty much shoot this back to 96. But again, with these smaller companies, I'm very skeptical on it. Also, you'd be breaking above all the volume shelves right there, and the volume profile pretty much dies off. So pretty much don't have anybody above you trying to sell it. Now, Penn had a nice little trade on this yesterday. Let's see. I was actually short. No, it was 2 days ago. I was actually short. So with Penn, if you look at what date is this? This is November 4th. You see this massive sell candle from the wedge that was formed, okay? And the bottom of that candle is at 56.31. Now, since we sold off, we pretty much stayed inside the bottom of that candle. For me, this is trying to base. The keyword is trying. It's not doing it yet. It's trying. So as long as price can stay above 56.31, I would be looking to buy this dip at some point. I like the break of 60.44 for a move back to the top of that big giant candle at 70.01. If we at any point in time lose the bottom of this big candle, which is 56.31, we will see lower prices. I'll be looking for this to move down to the 52.31 level, which is a swing low pivot area of November 2nd. And if we lose that, we're really in big trouble. But yeah, that's it for me.
Cool. Appreciate that. All right. Since we are on the Benzinga space, I realized I didn't really give you a time to talk about what you've been trading, Sinead. If you want to go into that. And and then I have an interesting little tidbit. I'm chatting with somebody who works at Twitter right now on some space and stuff. I'll talk about that after you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think a lot of the tickers that are hot are the same ones that we're kind of looking at, right? That's exactly what the whole point of day trading is hey, what are others looking at that are looking to buy? I will go ahead and, we talked about the tickers in terms of Lucid. We talked about AFRM. I believe another one that we had mentioned earlier was, what else did we trade? Let me focus on Lucid real quick, and then we'll go and switch gears. I'm personally a big fan of VWAP. I'm sure a lot of other individuals are. So I just want to kind of mention that whenever you're trading these tickers, for anyone that might be new in the spaces and new to trading and things like that, you always kind of are looking for like those indicators that work for you and don't work for you. There's so many out there, and perhaps Jake can shed a little bit more light. But for me personally, VWAP works very, very well. It provides a great insight on where support can be and where resistance can be. It kind of gives me a great risk reward, and that's where most of my entries are. And the reason I mention is because anyone's at home listening, if you pull up the chart on Lucid, whether it's the 5-minute or any of that, you'll go ahead and see how it kind of held VWAP around the 10-15 area, and it went ahead and once again held VWAP around the 12-25 time frame. Excuse me. And so that's personally what I enjoy using, regardless of what I'm trading. I feel like VWAP works very, very well, whether it's anything that's a low float, whatever it might be. You can go ahead and get any scalp opportunities and get great entries and possibly great exits as well, especially if you're trying to go short on a ticker. Wait for it to come to VWAP, figure out your risk reward, and enter that way. So if anyone else has any insights on VWAP, and if they're a fan of it, would love to hear that. But that's pretty much it. And yeah, I got the Affirm alert as well. Looks like they're paying pretty penny for it. Looks like they went out, what was it, all the way to May, buying the 150s and paying about $20 plus. It's a pretty hefty option if people are into that. But any thoughts on VWAP from you or anyone else?
Looks like Juicy's got his hand up.
Yeah, so I think that VWAP is definitely key. Now, me personally, I didn't use VWAP until I had a member of my Discord join, and he used to work for Citadel. And when he was given a trade to execute, and mind you, these trades that they will execute could be in the higher end millions of dollars at a time. They would position themselves off the stock. They was told to go in direction and wait for price to get to or around or break through that VWAP to load in these bigger positions. So for me, just for anybody that doesn't know, VWAP is the volume weighted price average. And if you're using not an anchored VWAP, but the normal VWAP, you'll see it's one of the very few indicators that's pretty much the same across all time frames. So if you're looking at a 15, you drop it down to a 5, it's pretty much in the same location, right? So these bigger guys are buying and selling off the price of the VWAP. So for me, I ever since I learned that, I completely just it's on my chart. Even even if I don't want it to be, it's directly on my chart. So I highly recommend you throw that on your chart as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And for anyone that's always, watching at home or when you're looking at charts, just put the VWAP on and just see what price has done around it. I mentioned Lucid earlier. Another one that I was can't remember, but now I pulled it up is Sofi. Just look at how VWAP went ahead and held. Any chart you're looking at, put it on there and just see how it reacted. And when you're trading, just see what it does. Just have an idea and see if it's helpful to you. But that's one of my favorite indicators. I don't use a lot. Matter of fact, that might be the only one that's on my chart. I'm a big fan of it as well.
Yeah, good points there. And just to give this, I guess, a bit of a relation to what we were talking about earlier, like if you go to Root and I use anchored VWAP, so I'm anchoring it from a place and you anchor it from the IPO, I think this is kind of what Gavin was getting at, was that comes to pretty close to that $10 mark. So, any of these institutions that got in at the IPO, unless they went ahead and sold, you can see exactly where that average price is. And it's actually interesting, it's right by as well the 200 day. So, when you come up to something like that, it could provide either strong support or resistance at that point. And, going into all this technical analysis for people in the audience who aren't familiar, when I first started learning technicals, and big shout out to Shark, who got me into technical analysis, and then, Jake, who, provided the TrendSpider platform and so many different opportunities. I was looking at it going like, all right, somebody tell me where support and resistance is, but it's not that simple because it's different based on the indicator that you're using and what you prefer and whether you think, you're looking at volume and other things. So we're just giving, I think, a lot of different helpful tools to help create a bigger picture, and then you can analyze that yourself. But there is no just one support resistance or trend line that works in every case. Juicy, to comment?
No, this is way off topic. For all my day traders out there watching the video above 304 here in the 5 minute, we're wedging out, trying to go higher, but we don't have any volume. I'm watching for volume, and the close above 304, we can push this higher. But for right now, I'm cash, but just keep this on your watch right now.
Got my eyes on it, and also Root is moving higher as we're talking.
It's funny you actually brought that up because when NVIDIA broke the 302, I started playing it. So that's funny you brought that up.
Great minds think alike. My only problem is like the volume's kind of dry. If they had any volume bar, I'd have been in this right now.
Love it. Good stuff. No, it was funny because right when you commented that, I was like, oh my gosh, dude, you read my mind. I literally got in on that trade while we were in on this talk.
Yeah, I might snag the 304s. I'll let you guys know.
Exclusive?
Yeah, so I was just going to touch on, a different approach to the VWAP. So, like he was just saying, a lot of institutional buyers and mutual funds, they use the VWAP. I don't want to say as a way to manipulate, but it's also a way to get in and out of market positions with the least amount of detection. So, for instance, if I'm long on NVIDIA today and I'm targeting 307, 308, whatever it may be, and I have options at 310, or if I have common stock that I'm waiting to sell around that area, if I sell it too soon or too extended from the VWAP, it's going to drive the candles back towards the VWAP, and that's going to put more eyes on people who are short. So once you get to that VWAP, like you said, traders use it as a form of confirmation where they'll enter the opposite, the opposing direction of where the stock's currently moving. And basically when you see either bears or bulls lose control is when the other one takes over. So it's more in your interest to add to or sell these positions closer to the VWAP versus far away, because it goes a little bit more undetected if you have, larger positions, like in the hundreds of thousands or millions. But that was just a different take on it.
Definitely makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and even
I trade with size, so I definitely I definitely use
same
it.
thing. I mean, actually, just to piggyback, that's exact. I kind of use it more as like that fair value, right? So like when things are super overextended, I'm not going to be getting in at that level. It'll be closer to that VWAP. So yeah, thank you for commenting on that.
Pretty
Sure thing.
One thing I would mention about that too, and this is something I learned from Brian Shannon. Um, the VWAP is essentially like a benchmark, right? So like if you kind of what a lot of other people are talking about, you know, if you're in charge of buying, $500 million worth of stock today, and you can't beat the volume weighted average price for the day, then you didn't do your job the right way. So it's essentially a benchmark to see, okay, was I able to get above or below the volume weighted average price for the day? So that's another way these institutions use it.
makes sense to me. Okay. So also, I'm just continuing to watch this call flow, and for anyone that's watching it, one of the things I'm definitely looking at is, oh, there we go. There's two puts that just came in on Root. I didn't see any short-term puts in a while. But one of the,
Look at Root now, new high, 632. Did you get them, Gav?
yeah, I have a couple of calls.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Gurgavin.
Yeah, the real entry on Root was back in October on the 14th. We posted that wedge break, and yesterday, last night after hours, you saw that it started trickling up, and it looked pretty insignificant at the time. But of course, today you're seeing the chain reaction it caused.
Definitely, yeah. Continuing to keep my eyes on that as that is in the positive. Also, just wanted to let everyone know if you are new to these type of spaces, myself as well as Stock Market News, Gavin Stock Talk Weekly, and then the other host, we're always hosting. We're on these things about 25 to 40 hours a week, I would say, trying our best to provide free education for all areas of the market. And I'm trying to innovate it and make some different and new type spaces. So, perhaps I think we're going to do definitely an NFT space next week. But I'm chatting right now with actually a friend of mine who is one of the heads of relationships for Twitter Spaces, actually. So he's research and strategy at Twitter Spaces. And we're talking about perhaps bringing him on and doing one about just like chatting about like upcoming features, feedback, different stuff like that. And I was also talking with him about the Spaces calendar. So since he was so interested, I figured I'd just share it with all of you in case anybody hasn't heard about the Spaces calendar yet. And that is essentially Twitter Spaces is a little bit limited because you can only put out one reminder tweet at a time. So let's say I have two spaces tomorrow, and I can only put out a reminder tweet for one of them. That thing lets you click and put a reminder on your calendar. So instead, to make that easier, I created a free public Google Calendar. And all you have to do to get on it is right now, go into my DMs and just DM me your email and ask to be on the calendar. That is it. There's over 700 people on this calendar. I'd love to get it to 1,000 by next week. Sorry to all my speakers who hear this every space, but I think it's a very valuable commodity. So just right now, hop in the DMs. I will definitely add you to it today. Probably DM you back, thanking you and appreciating you for being a part of this. And with that, let's keep the ball rolling. So Evan, I wanted to bring it back to you because you haven't spoken in a little bit, and just ask if throughout this, we had the chance to talk today, actually this week in person, and I was looking through a bit of your portfolio and was seeing the heaviness in Apple and a couple of these other things. So with the movement of some of a lot of cap tech, how do you feel, I guess, about really still holding on to the big, I guess you're calling them the large caps things? Is that something that you want to continue to be the staple of your portfolio, or as somebody who is a long-term investor, are you looking at any of these smaller, tech names that could potentially be added into it?
I mean, it's both ways. These are positions, most of these that I've started and held for a while. They've kind of grown into these huge parts of my portfolio as I've been doing this for 5-10 years or whatever, probably 5 to 7. But yeah, so those are just kind of the older plays. When I go into new positions, I enter into a lot of smaller, higher growth names, but I don't invest enough as like I'm going all in or it will become the largest position. It takes a little bit of time for stuff to grow into that, and for the last 4 or 5 years, Apple was my largest holding until this year, which Ethereum actually eclipsed it and is now my largest holding. It's not because I've been piling into Ethereum over the last year. I've pretty much just held what I've owned. and it's just run up so much. So I still feel, as confident as ever at the top. I still, at holding these names at the top, I still find value in names like Facebook, value and growth in names like Facebook, Nvidia, and Amazon as core positions up there. Those are names that I'm still excited about, adding to. Tesla and Apple, just because of how much of Apple I do own, and Tesla just because of where it's priced at. Maybe I'm not looking to add soon, but I'm still as confident as ever holding them for the long term. And I do enjoy taking these more higher risk gambles, just kind of where my portfolio is at, and you're doing that, but just with smaller positions and seeing if they can grow into something. So it's a strategy that I've continued to do, and I will continue to do it. There's a couple names that I've started these initial positions like this, and maybe we talk to it. I know Stock Talk Weekly's in here, and Redwire is one that I've started, and I know he's a big fan of. BRPM, the phase SPAC, is one that I still think we have a couple months before it really starts to get big or really starts to get popular once it merges with phase, or at least it gets closer. I think that might be a bigger deal. But just a couple names like that. I take responsible bets. Portfolio management for me is something that I put a lot of focus on, taking like a top-down approach, looking at my portfolio as a whole, seeing where positions are at, and taking bets with the amount. For me, it's really important that my conviction matches the percentage holding, and I really try and keep it at that as best I can. So these higher risk names, I do add them. I do own a good amount of them. When you look at them as a whole, for all of them I own, they do make up a nice percentage of my portfolio. But the core is still in those names at the top, and I am still very confident in that as well.
Got it. Appreciate that. Cool. Also, thanks to the 20 plus people who already sent me DMs. Make sure that your email's in the DM. I can't add you based off username or anything else. It is just email, preferably a Gmail, but I think it works with all of them. Okay. With that being said, Juicy, I think I saw your hand up.
Yep. Can you guys hear me? You guys hear me, right?
Yep.
I was just saying, I was trying to call out this NVIDIA that we just called out. If you guys took that trade, I got those 305s. Make sure you scale out, roll up. I just did another scale here at 36%. So I'm going to buy the 310s for this week with profits, and I'm just going to sit in those, especially if we break high of day. So just keep your eyes on NVIDIA, guys.
100%. Okay, so Stock Talk Weekly, thanks for popping in. Before you came in, we were all kind of running through just general stuff that was on our radar for the day, any stocks. Wanted to give you that opportunity.
Yeah, man. I've been just kind of trading, the theme lately. Most of my daily ideas have just been based on, what I see, the volume trends I see in pre-market. Recently I put on that trade for 10, ticker T, and I expected more of a reaction initially to the Rivian IPO. Didn't really get it, but I'm willing to be patient, maybe for a week or so with that trade, maybe a little bit longer, and to see if I get the directionality, the volume that I want on it, which it just hasn't seen. I think fundamentally, it's a company that kind of got beat down off Q3. They lowered guidance. They had a rough quarter, but just off the rip, I see a billion market cap with 16 billion in revenues in the last 4 quarters. Yeah, they aren't making a margin on it, but they're a critical EV supplier, and with this kind of EV sentiment, I think a few more eyes on that stock could drive it a lot higher. So I'm still long there. Redwire, obviously still long. I bought the dip yesterday pretty heavily. It was already my biggest position. Now it's by far my biggest position. So there's a lot of risk for me going into the earnings whenever they do end up announcing those earnings, and the delay. Obviously, I have a lot of equity risk going into those earnings. I probably won't play the earnings with any optionality, just in case there's downside. I don't want to take it on the options and the equity. So, for me, that's still a high conviction name. I don't think anything's changed about the story. Outside of those two stocks, I'm continuing to load DMYQ. There's no risk here. You have a 2.5% risk at 10.25. So I see it as like a bank account play, dumping profits in there. I'm also loaded on BidF with an average cost little bit below 750. It's trading a little bit above 8 yet, but I haven't taken profits on the equity there either. I think, all those mining stocks need is another little pop in Bitcoin. They just haven't got the ignition they needed. They haven't traded on par with Bitcoin anyway for a while. So still looking at those mining stocks. still paying attention to the EV theme, trying to sympathy trade it rather than find entries on these gap up primary runners. Like I didn't trade Rivian at all. I just traded, sympathy trades to it. I'm also watching Lucid going into earnings. I think that if they don't announce meeting guidance for deliveries and, announce their factories being on projection, that can cause a big downturn in that stock. I think it's really catalyst dependent going into earnings. But, good guidance and, maybe even some references of potential partnerships, I think could even drive it higher. That there's still room for that stock to run, I think, but obviously a bad earnings report will definitely derail it. And then lastly, I'm probably watching Tesla. I'm pretty impressed by the price stability in the last few sessions. I expected that drop coming into the week off the Elon Musk news. I thought it would find support a little bit lower than it did, but it kind of caught that 10-15 level pretty well, and it's holding there. So we'll see how that goes going forward. I'm not in calls right now, but I am in equity as I have been for a long time. And then that's pretty much all I'm watching. I played a bounce trade on charge point with options that worked well. But other than that, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Good stuff. Root's still moving, and I just went back and I saw exclusive. You've got some really good content going on in this Discord as well, and I just saw the Root stuff from this morning. I didn't even see that. I was a little bit distracted, I guess, when I was going back and forth, but that's some good looking stuff there.
Yeah, I just added to Lemonade as a sympathy move with Root.
Interesting. Yeah, I saw that was up big today as well. I do have a small position in it, but just commons. So interesting that that's kind of moving with it. But yeah, I see 7%. I'm going to go ahead and check that call flow. I'm sure it's looking interesting. Juicy. Oh, I saw hands. Well, real quick, actually, the one more thing for anybody that's in my DMs for the calendar, I'm also going to ask you if you're interested. If you're interested in the Wolf newsletter, because we just passed 800 subs in like basically a week, and I'd love to get it to 1,000. And it's like a 3-minute read once a week, so very very simplistic. Okay, Juicy, going to you and then to Shark.
No, I just want to give credit where it's due, man. Everybody here, I highly recommend you follow everybody on this panel. Stock Talk Weekly. Honestly, man, I've learned a lot of stuff from you. And me coming as a pretty much a technical trader on the fundamental side. Like, guys, check out his spaces. He breaks down like everything for free. He should be charging you guys for this, but he does it for free. So give everybody here a follow, guys.
Thanks, my man. I've learned a lot from you as well. I appreciate that. That's a great shout out. Follow Juicy too.
Yeah, Juicy's also really fun to like chat with. Like you were having a whole conversation about music, like the history of music this morning, like while trading. I found that really interesting.
People don't really realize this, but like trading is like is a love. It's a sport, man. You can multitask and trade, man. You don't have to be so like with it. Relax and let yourself be you. I promise you'll do a lot better.
100%. Shark?
No, I didn't know if anyone played Plug this morning. It bounced off beautifully on the daily chart off its 13-day moving average. That's the one that I like to usually play off of some kind of run, and that had a massive move today. I just didn't know. We were just kind of talking about stocks and stuff, and then one thing I do want to do and kind of say thank you to everyone here. If you're new to these spaces or if you've been here for a long time, follow everyone here. I try to listen to as many spaces as I can because I just want to say thank you to all the people that put them on. Thank you to Wolf. Thank you to Stock Talk. Thank you to Gurr. People out here that are doing this kind of stuff. It's almost like God's work, right? I have never been able to be in such an amazing community before. I've been doing this for a decade, but I'll be honest, for the most time, I was always on the sidelines doing it myself. And then all of a sudden, people like you, Wolf, that came and just done amazing things for the entire community. So I really want to say thank you. Everything you guys are doing for the retail trader is absolutely amazing. Same thing with Benzinga, right? Same thing with TrendSpider. Everything they're doing is just to help give us all a little bit of advantage. And I just want to give a shout out to everyone here.
Definitely echo that sentiment 100%. Cool. Zunaid, wanted to bring it back to you to see if there's so I have plenty of names that have come into the tweet that I threw out, and I'm happy to go through a few more of those. We'll probably go, and then around 2:15, we'll start a little bit of wrap up, maybe a little bit longer. I mean, we have 700 people in here. Shout out to 700 people for taking the time to, we're saying hype up the panel. The panel's awesome, but the listeners, Like, goddamn, going out of your way. I really admire that because, to be honest, to the speakers up here, it's great. They take a lot of time out of the day. They get some followers. The listeners, you're just chilling in here with us, finding great plays, maybe getting reaffirmed on some of your long-term plays. So 100% appreciate y'all coming in here. Stock market news, you have a comment, and then I will go back to Benzinga. Evan.
Oh, sorry. Just wanted to quickly point out for anyone watching Penn stock, it's moving right now. Portnoy's live talking about the case or the allegations against him, and I saw the stock was moving a little higher. I know we touched on it for a second a little bit ago.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting one. I've been keeping up with some of the details around that. I guess we'll see how it plays out. Okay, going back to you, Benzinga, to see if there's anything else specific that you wanted to touch on.
No, I mean, these spaces are great. I hope the individuals that are listening are kind of taking notes and just practicing what everyone's saying. I mean, I think we all share the sentiment of don't just try to make money back of, our alerts and things like that, but truly try to understand why we're trading what we're trading, right? You saw someone call out the NVIDIA trade. Try to understand why they were looking for that 305 approach and the break of it. We called out a firm and how they were buying options around that 148 level. Now it's at 152. So try to understand, like, hey, why is this happening? More than just trying to slap the ass because you heard someone else was getting in is the main thing. But for me, in terms of what I'm looking to trade, I've been waiting for the past 2 hours or so, or for the whole day really, for roadblocks to break 100. I've been trading it off of the VWAP. Talked about that earlier, kind of adding and waiting for that break of 100. So that's the trade that I'm in. And once it breaks is when I'm really going to try to pile on some size there and trade it to the upside. But that's the ticker that I'm watching. And just my 2 cents on anyone listening, try to understand the why and not just what we're trading. It'll really, really help you take your trading, your investing to the next level. There's plenty of great individuals here that share different types of insights from fundamentals to technicals to everything else to options. Take advantage of it. Plenty of great knowledge here.
100%, as well as the tools that you can supplement it with. I get often asked, people slide to the DMs, what platform are you trading on? Where you're doing your research? And there's a lot of different really good ones. I do a few different things. I personally like to use technical analysis as well as the fundamentals. So for technical analysis, I do personally use TrendSpider. And then for the fundamentals, I think there's a lot of ways to research that, whether that's on Benzinga, Yahoo, other spots. And then I also love using the option flow nowadays. So there's also a few platforms there. Of course, you have the mighty Unusual Whales, who we did a space with last week. Got black box stocks and a lot going on. Oh, exclusive. I'm trying to get you back up here, by the way. I see you in there. I'm sending you an invite. And then you can kind of even supplement that with one of my favorite things, which is spaces. Like someone asked the other day, like, how do you do your research? I said spaces. You come in here and you bounce ideas off of people. There's a power to social. For anyone who's unfamiliar, the reason why I'm able to do spaces all day is because of the Wolf app. So you can see Wolf up here co-hosting. They literally pay me to go and host spaces all day, build a community, and do all those things because of the Wolf app. That's a great place where you can bounce ideas off each other. So that's 100% why I'm able to do this, and I'm grateful for that. Okay, with that being said, I'm going to pick a few more names from the tweet that I put out on this account, on the Gob account. And we'll go over those. And also, thank you to everyone who's followed this account. I would love to get to 5K this week. I spent a year building the Wolf account to 30K, and it is time to get some on here. Okay, let's go into Uber and let's hit Uber and maybe Spot. Spot's looking interesting. Okay, Shark, I'm going to throw Uber over to you. And then, Gerg, maybe if you want to weigh in as well on perhaps like Uber, Spot, or any of these. And then I will go to Juicy. Shark, want to go first?
Yeah, my bad. I was just doing some trading. So for me, Uber's obviously it's had a little bit of bounce up lately. It had a MACD cross on the 15 minutes. Actually at its base at its low today. The stochastic was a little bit oversold and it started to break out. Now for me right now, I wouldn't be getting into Uber, to be honest with you. Like I said, I'm a trader that I go and I kind of do a lot of my trades based on unusual options activity. I haven't seen anything on Uber, and it's definitely downtrending on the downside. So I'm just looking on the 15. Then you got to zoom out. What's the daily doing, right? And it's at its lower point on its Bollinger Band, right? This is a stock that if it breaks 42.34, be very scared because there's a lot of downward momentum. There's a gap to be filled below that level, okay? So 42.34, you need to be scared if you're long. But at the same time, if it does bounce up, and it's been playing in a channel for a couple days now, let me go ahead and chart this out because I'm charting it out live. It's been kind of trading in this window. I mean, the window's pretty big, 43 to about 48. That's been trading in for a little bit of time now. But right now, with it trading lower than its middle Bollinger Band, with it downtrending and crossing on the stochastic, that's my heads up. And then also already crossing on the MACD, that's my confirmation. That's happening currently. Also, our TTM squeeze is on the lower side. And I don't know if other people do this, but I like to follow these things called waves. And the waves right now are showing me a lot of weakness within short-term, midterm, and long-term. So right now, I actually feel like this is a stock that's going to be downtrending, probably going to fill in this gap fill that has at the 42.34 level before you want to be looking to be going anything long. If this breaks the middle Bollinger Band at the 45.51 level, then there's some upside momentum, but it would be for a quick day trade because every single time lately it's been hitting this 47.80 level. It's been rejected hard and then going back down to this 43.64 level on the lower level of the Bollinger Band. So sorry if that was a little too much, but that's kind of a quick analysis. But I'll be looking at this one actually right now. If it breaks 42.34, so 42.25, I'll be actually getting in on a put.
So I'm going to give you the other side of that, if that's all right. Keep an eye for the folks that are listening on the February 18th, 47 and 50 calls on Uber. Just a couple of days ago, we had about $4 to $5 million worth of calls being purchased on that. And even today, you can see volume of about 23,000 contracts traded. So keep an eye on that open interest. If that open interest carries over much, much higher, over 50,000, might be something you want to consider if you are on the long side of the trade. But if it does decrease, then you can go with the put that Shark mentioned as well. But that's the February 4750 calls. You've got about 32,000 open interest with about 23,000 traded today, just today.
Yeah, so for me, and because I'm a big options trader, I would not be interested in those 47.50 calls, though, until we break and are closing for 2 consecutive days above 48. Because right now, we have not been able to do that going back all the way until July, okay? So on a technical side, this thing is definitely showing weakness. You also have to look at things when you are an options trader, and you have to think about it. Are they holding a comment? Are they shorting it when they're going super heavy on those calls, okay? So that is something when I like to see big options activity. For me, it's actually showing that there's probably going to be price action either up or down, and I like to set windows and find my window of opportunity and then look for weakness or strength.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
Hey, Zunaid, real quick, maybe so you've been chatting with us and helping set this up with Benzinga, but I'm looking at your bio and it's super interesting, all the different things that you're doing. So maybe like 30 seconds, 45 seconds, I'm like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking to Alyssa and I was like, man, I'm getting these follows for stock market stuff, but I usually don't tweet stock market stuff. What I do, I call it for a living or whatever, is broadcasting. So I actually broadcast for the NBA 2K League, which is the esports version of the NBA. So if anyone has ever played 2K, there are a bunch of grown men and women that play for millions of dollars. And so that's what I broadcast. We are in the off season, so that's where I focus more so on stocks and things like that. So if you're following me, I promise I will try to post more stock stuff for you guys to enjoy. But yeah, I do broadcasting as the more fun thing, I guess you can say.
Pretty cool stuff. Okay, so we're coming up on 2:17. So, well, Greg, I'll go to you first. If there's anything else on your radar, I'm looking, and I see a lot of people just talking about Root. Anything else besides Root you want to alert to?
I was playing a farm. I saw that open, but nothing else. The volume is kind of dead because it's a bank holiday, so no more new trade for me for this week.
Okay, got that. Sounds good. Okay, so let's go into giving everybody maybe just a few minutes here on, some just what is ahead on your radar. Anything else you want to wrap up with? This space wasn't, I guess, necessarily focused on just technicals or fundamentals. It was more of just stock talk. We did some live trades. I took a couple trades during this. Always my favorite thing to do. Been moving more in that direction. I'll remind everybody in the crowd, do not feel pressure, right? Even if you hear something's running. One thing which I like to do, which I started doing more recently, is like 3 to 5 of these a day, where I'll mark down a trade and I won't take it. I actually won't get in. I'll take maybe my highest 1 or 2 convictions, and then I'll just mark down the others. And I'll look at it and just say, like, what would I have made? What would I have lost? And I've started keys, something along those lines.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Our doors are always open. We always want to, get involved as much as we can with the great community that we have. And this is a great thing about it. I mean, you saw Shark and I just have a, conversation about, hey, here's what we're seeing on Uber. Here's the long side of it, and here's the short side of it. And that's the great knowledge that you get, because then you understand the why. Why is Shark not getting this trade, or why is Zane not waiting for a little bit more patient? That's the beauty of it. But yeah, appreciate you, having these spaces. When I first met you, I told you how I've enjoyed all the stuff you've done. So it's absolutely been a pleasure to truly be a part of one and co-hosting with you as well. Check out Benzinga. If anyone has any issues, please DM me, whether it's stock stuff, Benzinga stuff, whatever. I'll do my best to help you out. And I definitely look forward to more conversations regarding the markets.
100%. And yeah, that's some of the best part is a lot of these guys up here do have their DMs open, and don't just DM them like hi, hello. Send actual questions if you're going to DM. Engage. If you give out a really good question, there's no reason why they shouldn't respond. And speaking of the DMs real quick, I'm excited to go through. I have about 40 from this of people who want to join the calendar as well as the newsletter. This will be your last opportunity for this space to do that. So just hop into my DMs. Shoot me over your email, ask me on the calendar. If you want the newsletter, ask for that too. I'm happy to add you to both. They're completely free, no charges ever. The ultimate goal is just get more people to be able to get educated for free. That is the idea. I've never charged a single cent for any of this. With that being said, let's keep the ball rolling. Any final thoughts, Gerg?
Nope.
All right. Well, I'm sure you'll be back on Spaces anyway, so no worries there. You can always catch your Gavin. Legend has it he has never actually left Spaces. He's just eternally floating between them, even in the middle of the night. Come on at like 3 a.m. You'll see just Gerg sitting there. He'll be like,
Yeah, don't expose me.
It's sleep talk. He's like sleep talking. He goes, short interest, short interest. Yeah, it's really good stuff. Stock Talk Weekly.
What's going on? Just looking for closing remarks?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate all the speakers up here. I appreciate you, Gav. Try to come on as many of your spaces as I can. I know sometimes I tell you I'm going to be on one and I end up being busy, so I'm sorry for that. But I try to squeeze them in whenever I can, and I definitely will continue to come on your spaces. And I really like Juicy and Shark and Gerg and Stock Market, and I talk to them, and I really watch their feeds constantly, and I don't watch a lot of people's feeds, so you guys should follow all of them. But I really like the different styles of traders that are up here. Whether it's options trading or equities trading or small caps or large caps, or I just like the different styles that are featured. And I try to be a trader that does a little bit of everything. I trade options, I trade leaps and weeklies, and I trade small caps and large caps, and sympathy trades and day trades and swing trades, and I have investments. And so I try to be I try to involve myself in a little bit of everything. So I appreciate these spaces because it gives me insight on strategies or, angles on exposure that, I might not be thinking about or, be factoring in. So, I like these spaces and I appreciate it. For me, I'm just going to continue watching the themes in the market, and that's how I trade, and that's where most of my day trade and sympathy trade ideas come from. So those will change day to day, but I always have my conviction holds as well, which I make pretty obvious on my feed when it's a high conviction swing or an investment. So follow all these guys up here, and hopefully these spaces have been educational or helpful to a lot of you who have continued to tune in.
100%. And yeah, man, I know you're busy. I've always asking you to be on Spaces all week, so there's no worries. I appreciate the ones that you're able to make it to. Okay, keeping the ball rolling. Juicy?
Hey, again, I just want to say thanks for having me on. Benzinga, Trend Spider, you guys are awesome. Highly recommend both of you guys follow them. They are a staple in my trading. Now, going forward, seasonality for the next 2 weeks are going to kind of be off. The third week from now is going to be kind of high. So what that's telling me, expect chop, guys. And for me, when that means for me, I'm not really going to be looking to add longer term exposure, meaning I'm not going to be saying, hey, let me buy calls a month out. Let me buy calls, 2 weeks out. I will, in fact, though, hold runners. Now, something that you guys can do, you need to have some type of strategy that you can trade in every market and stick to an edge. Something that I do, these are called inside bar breaks. I'll give you an example. What we got on the scan right now. So what I want to do today is I want price to close. I want to go all the way to the end of the day, and I want all these candles to close. Now, if today's action, if you look at a chart, if the bar on the daily candle is smaller than the previous bar, like it's inside, that's why it's called the inside bar, because the price is inside the previous bar. That bar has to go outside at some point. So the next day coming in, which would be tomorrow, if price breaks above that bar, you want to take it long. If it breaks below, you want to take it short. So if you run an inside scan right now, my top picks so far, the day isn't over, we can go outside. But I'm looking at Square, NVIDIA, what else we got on the scan? Shop and Amazon for tomorrow. They're all inside. Also, NVIDIA's inside, and I'm holding some runners. I'm still in that NVIDIA trade right now, and I'm looking to actually hold it overnight because I've rolled up and scaled into more trades. But besides that, guys, stick to an edge. Find an edge if you don't have one. And this is Twitter, man. This is 2021, right? Back in the day, when I was trying to figure this out, Twitter was not what it is today. YouTube was not what it is today. You have access to so much information and get started. Simulate your trades, get on the bandwagon, and learn how to trade. But besides that, again, thanks to all my peers for having me, and let's kill it going into 2022.
Love that sentiment. Always behind you, Juicy. Okay, stock market news.
Sorry, we're just getting my last bite of luncheon. Yeah, Gov, I really appreciate you always putting on amazing spaces. The list of speakers you got up here is really amazing. I know a couple of people have said it. Just click into all their profiles. They're 100% worth the follow. Make sure you check out Gov and Wolf for always putting on these amazing spaces. Clearly, you're a fan of them, so if you want to see these pop up, I know a bunch of other people up here are really active on spaces, so just give everyone a follow, and I appreciate you putting this on.
100% right back at you. And we'll be doing 2 spaces together, myself and Stock Market News tomorrow. We'll be on at 12 p.m. EST with the weekly Howl. That is the space that is entirely focused on transparency and investing. It is just we go back and we look at the past week and we say, what do people buy? What do people sell? Why they do it? That way we can be super transparent with the audience. And then at 4 p.m. EST, we have FinTwit Friday every week, a really, really good one as well, where we bring on multiple speakers. So I'm sure we'll have a good one for that with earnings to talk about and even more. So I think we've already been on spaces for like 20 hours the other this week. So why not add another few hours to that? Okay. And Z, I wanted to give you, any last word, and make sure, you can see Benzinga up here. It's no coincidence when accounts are verified with hundreds of thousands of followers. There's a clear and obvious reason why, and Benzinga has shown their value to this community. I'm excited to keep doing spaces with them. Got to meet some people on their team, have been on the show, going to go back on the show again soon, I think. And yeah, just completely vouch for what they're doing. And then also, while Z's here, make sure that you're giving him that follow since he was able to make this happen. But any final thoughts for us?
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and say invest in yourself. I think the best way to do that is to just check out the tools that individuals have to offer. TrendSpider, obviously one of the best ones here in terms of charting. And yeah, check out, Benzinga. It's 2 weeks, completely free, no credit card whatsoever. One of the things that I absolutely love, besides the squawk where you get to hear the news called out, is also our exclusive stuff. So if anyone's familiar with OLB, we had some exclusive breaking news where Benzinga Pro users got the news before the press release came out from the company, and that stock went ahead and had 150% news that our members were to take advantage of. So check it out, completely free. Don't have to put a credit card down. And if for some reason you have any issues while you're trying to sign up for the trial, my DMs are open. Just let me know, and I promise you I'll help you out within 24 hours. Thanks, and appreciate everyone just taking the time to be here. Just invest in yourself and learn from everyone that's here today.
100%. And the last thing I just want to mention is that unfortunately Exclusive is having some technical difficulties and wasn't able to get back up here. So that is at Exclusive Trading, and really good account, one of the fastest growing that I've seen within this FinTwit community. I'm usually tuning into his Discord in the mornings. Really good stuff. He's been chatting. If you want some of his premium levels, I do have a code for that as well. But with that being said, so excited we were able to make this happen. Came together on rather short notice. I usually plan all my spaces out a week in advance. In fact, if you look at the Wolf account at the pinned tweet, you can see all the spaces for the week. Or like I said, you can just shoot me your email. I'll put you on the Google Calendar, make life easier. I spend hours and hours every single weekend DMing 50 to 100 people to make these spaces happen and then put together those graphics. So I'm glad that people are appreciating them. And I'm also just glad that these speakers have been able to come together. And as we get more people in these spaces, we draw larger and larger audiences, better and better, quality and quantity at the same time. With that being said, got to get on the road, going to be traveling. So I'm wishing everybody health, wealth, success, and all that you are doing. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Hope you have some green markets today, and we'll catch you again tomorrow at 12 p.m. EST on Spaces. Anything else you want to say there, Z?
Hey, no, stay green, man. Stay safe.